Welcome back to the Alfatron DSP Overview Series. Today in part 10, we will be taking a look at the camera control module. We'll discuss some of its basic features, how to set it up, and show you a practical example of the camera control module in action as well. But before we get started, if you are enjoying this series, please remember to subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed already, and give us a like on the video. And also remember to activate that notification bell so you can be notified of any future content and other videos and overviews and product reviews and how-to guides that we might post. Okay, well, let's get started. So first things first, I have already connected up my camera for the demo. There's my camera. And we want to firstly make sure that we have all our camera settings correct. So in order to set up the RS-232 global settings for my DSP, we can navigate to the DSP settings, so device settings, and here on the device settings you'll see here is my global RS-232 or RS-485 settings. So I've already set up my RS-232 to be the same settings as what my camera would require, and that is RS-232, which we're going to be using today, and it's a baud rate of 9600, data bits 8, stop bit 1, and parity of none. Once that's set up, I can basically just press OK. It'll confirm any changes that you might have made, and then we can actually navigate over to the camera control module. So this camera control module is there for voice tracking, and it is essentially there so that you can have some automation taking place inside a boardroom, maybe a courtroom or an auditorium. There's a few settings here we'll discuss now in how you can set that up, and you can get to a little bit of an advanced level, but bearing in mind that it is RS-232 control only, so it is only serial control over your camera that this module will implement. Now we'll discuss just in a moment how all the different controls work and what all the different sections are. And as I mentioned, I already have my camera set up and connected to my RS-232 on the back of the DSP. So let's take a look at the control itself, or actually all the different control interfaces and how it's set up. On the left hand side, we have our voice tracking module, and this dictates and controls how my voice tracking is implemented. What are the parameters of my voice tracking? The second section here is my channels, and that is to activate and engage a specific input channel to my control. So if a channel is not enabled or active in the channel settings, it will not participate in the voice tracking algorithm. So in that way, we can basically set up one channel, two channels, all my input channels, or like I mentioned, you can select which channels are active inside the voice tracking module. The last section here on the module is my camera control. So these two windows on the far right hand side. So first one is my actual camera control, and here we set up the serial type of the control, so it's RS-232 or 485. We address the camera, select the protocol, we can pan, tilt, zoom, move the camera around, focus it, and also adjust the iris settings if we need to. Lastly is my camera presets, and this is what we will use to activate the camera to move to a specific preset. So let's look at all these controls in detail. So if we start off again on the left hand side, my voice tracking control, the first control there is my threshold, and I'm actually going to go ahead and set these up as we go. So I might want to adjust my threshold a little bit. You'll see on the left hand side here my input mic, so I've got two mics set up, so we'll actually do a switch between two mics just to show you that the tracking activates and how it activates. But I want to look at how much level I'm getting in. And right now my threshold has been set to minus 60 dBs, and I can see that I'm getting far above minus 60 dBs. So we can raise this threshold maybe up to, let's call it 35 dB. So whenever my microphone channel exceeds the minus 35 dB threshold, it would then engage or activate if it is set up to participate in the voice tracking. So I have to break the 35 dB threshold, the minus 35 dB threshold. Next up is a default channel. So I can have any of my input channels default back to the preset or the default view. So in this case, let's say I have channel 1 as my podium mic, for instance. That will be the preset that my cameras would default to if there's no activity on any other microphones. Reaction time is the time in seconds it will take for a specific preset or a specific channel to activate. Let's say I have 2 channels speaking. So I'm talking on channel 1 and channel 2 now starts speaking. It would take 3 seconds before channel 2 actually activates in order to then change the preset to that channel. Now, if channel 1 continuously speaks and maybe on channel 2 somebody just answers, say yes, acknowledge or agree to something that the person speaking in mic 1 is saying, it will not activate presets to move to position number 2 because we're not breaking the threshold for long enough. So we have to break the threshold for 3 seconds in order for the preset to be activated on the next channel. Hold time, the next one down, is exactly as it says. You can then hold that preset for that duration of time. We'll leave it at 5 for now, and we'll leave our reaction time at 3. Send interval is essentially the time between successive repeats of sending the command. You can leave ours on 200 milliseconds for now, but you can see there's 100 milliseconds to 1000 milliseconds, so from a tenth of a second to 1 second intervals that you can set. Send repeat is exactly what it says. That's how many times it will repeat sending the RST32 command out when a specific trigger has been triggered. And then lastly, you have to always remember to enable the voice tracking module to actually activate it. We can then also click the save button, and it would store these presets or these settings now to the module permanently. So always remember to click the save button once you've made any adjustments. Okay, secondly, we want to now set up the channels and enable or engage the channels that we want to use in the recalls or the channels that we want to participate in the voice tracking. So firstly, there's channel 1. I'm going to set up channel 1, and we'll leave this as a priority of 1 for now. You can also set each channel to have a different priority, and 1 again being the highest priority and 10 being the lowest. So if you set up priority level 1 on all of them, then they basically all have the same priority, or you can adjust the priority accordingly. So we'll use RST32, and as I mentioned, there's a serial control only for this module, so we can either use 232 or 485 control. But we'll use 232 for now. My camera address is camera 1, which will relate to my camera setup, which we'll get to in just a moment. I'll also keep it on Visco control, and for channel 1, I'll activate preset 1. So I can enable preset 1 for this, and then click save again. Now, in addition, there's also a custom command section on this side. So the use case for this is, let's say you now connect your matrix switcher or your switching device that are also RST32 controllable to your RST32 output on the DSP. Then every time I activate this preset from channel 1, I can also send out the command in order to switch my video. So simultaneously I can then type in my video switching command in here, say HDMI 1, and it will switch HDMI 1 to output 1. Now similarly, if I then set up channel 2, and in our demonstration case here, we have 1 camera, 2 presets, but I want channel 1 to activate a preset 1, and in this case we're going to set up channel 2 to activate preset 2, and we're going to stay with camera address 1. So I'll activate this channel 2 module, and this will now allow my channel 2 to also engage in my presets. Now channel 1, you'll see, we'll set preset number 1, and as I mentioned, channel 2 will set preset number 2. Again, if we had a matrix or a video switching device attached, we could also then send out a command for that. Okay, so now over to the camera control module. I'm going to just show you the camera. So there's our camera again, and we are RST32 control, camera address 1, Visco control protocol. Our camera speed, we can adjust the recall speed a little bit here. So from 0 to 63, and I can show you there that we can essentially move our camera around directly here from the controls. I would in this case move my camera into a position, and now I can save preset number 1. So I'll save preset number 1 there. And let's say I want to move my camera to a second position. And in this case, I will select preset number 2, and then I will save my presets. Now in this way, you can set up your camera zoom and focus and get that all set up and store those presets. If I now go to preset number 1, I can call preset number 1. And if I go to preset number 2, I can call preset number 2. And remember that after you've done that, we need to press save and just make sure that the settings are saved to the DSP. So now that we have everything set up, you'll see automatically there, I was speaking on mic number 1 and my camera moved back to preset position number 1. Now you'll see here at the bottom, I'm speaking on mic number 1. And if I now move across and I speak on mic number 2, you'll see that it'll take about 3 seconds and then my camera will move to preset number 2. So here I am, I'm speaking now on my mic number 2, and there you go. Within 3 seconds, my camera has shifted and it's now moved to preset number 2. And so I can move back to microphone number 1, and there we go, a camera moves back. Now if I adjust this hold time, or this reaction time maybe to 5 seconds, and adjust the hold time to 1, and press save. Again, if I move across, you'll see now it'll take about 5 seconds since I started speaking, and then the camera moves across. If I increase my hold time, then it would hold this preset for 5 additional seconds from when I stopped speaking on this mic before it would move back to my default position number 1. And there you go. So without me speaking, after 5 seconds, it held that preset number 2 for 5 seconds because I was not on channel 1's preset recall, and then it defaulted back to channel 1. If you require any further information on either our DSPs or our PTZ camera range, please remember to visit our website at www.alfatronelectronics.com. See you next time.